Are your poultry birds eating less? Are they growing slowly or dying unexpectedly? The problem might not be feed related. It might be ventilation issue. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the natural ventilation in poultry houses, the simplest, cheapest, and the most effective solution many farmers overlook. Welcome back to FarmBiz with Mackay. In this channel, we show you how to maximize profit in farming through creativity. If you are a poultry farmer or just starting out in poultry production, this video could save you money and prevent your birds from heat stress and make your pen conducive for your chickens. Heat stress is one of the major concerns in poultry production, being it broilers or layers. Now let's talk about why natural ventilation is the best way out for this major issue. Now, what is natural ventilation? Natural ventilation in poultry refers to using fresh air movement through openings instead of relying heavily on fans or mechanical system to get it done. Now, it works through proper house orientation. This is very important because you must orient your poultry pen in east-west direction. This is very, very important. Now, it works also through side walls opening because it's not good for you to just cover all the side walls or just create a simple opening in such a way that fresh air does not really have enough room to come in and all of that. That is totally wrong. So you must have the side walls open. Now, the wind direction and temperature differences also aids in this ventilation working. It also works through wind direction and temperature differences. That is through proper house orientation, through side walls opening, and through wind direction and temperature differences. This is where smart design of your coop or pen comes in. Now, this doesn't mean if you don't really have a standard pen to raise your birds, you can't really raise your birds. No, you can still raise your birds even if your pen is not oriented in the east-west direction. Now, in that case, you have to ensure that the four walls are open, netted around with wire mesh to prevent predators or rats from coming into your pen. In that way, you still will have a very good ventilation. Now, poor ventilation causes heat stress. This is one of the major concerns of poultry farmers. Heat stress, being it layers or broilers production, is enemy to poultry. Very, very serious. Now, it also causes high level of ammonia buildup. You see, at times when you enter into your pen, especially if you are not really observing proper management, you'll be feeling some peppery sign in your eyes. That is ammonia. The level of ammonia is very, very high. Now, you imagine if you could be perceiving that level of ammonia, what about the birds that are inside this pen? So this will reduce their performance. It's very good you take care of this. Now, it will also lead to wet litters because you enter there, everywhere will be totally messed up due to poor ventilation. Now, poor feed conversion is also there as a result of poor ventilation, and ultimately it will increase the mortality, the death rate of your birds. Is going to increase if the ventilation is very, very poor. Birds don't sweat. You need to understand that. They release excess heat by panting. That's why you see them most times, they open their mouth as if they are breathing through their mouth, which they are. To cool down, they pant, allowing moisture to evaporate from the mouth and respiratory tract. They also lose some heat through unfeathered areas like the comb, the wattles, the leg, and the feet. This is why at times you see them lying down. As they lie down, they open up their wings and so that fresh breeze can come around and then blow around them. Now, this is why high temperatures and poor ventilation are so dangerous in poultry houses. When heat builds up and fresh air can't circulate, production drops fast and mortality increases. You need to understand this. Now, there are great benefits of natural ventilation in poultry farming. One of such benefits is reduction of heat stress. It brings the heat in the pen down drastically because there is a fresh breeze coming in to blow away the hot air while the hot air is blowing away from the other end. This is very, very important in your poultry houses. Now, remember I said one of such benefits is reduction of heat stress. Then cool air flows in, hot air escapes naturally without you employing any mechanical means like fan and all of that to expel the hot air. No, this enables your birds to perform optimally. Very, very important as well. Another benefit is improve health. The health of your birds becomes improved. This is as a result of good ventilation in your pen. A good ventilation system or a good ventilated pen eliminates ammonia buildup and reduces respiratory diseases. This also leads to a better growth and egg production. Very, very important. Being it layers or broilers production, heat stress is a major concern. Like I said, you must do all you can to ensure that you take good care of this issue, which is detrimental to them. For effective natural ventilation in your pen, you must ensure your pen is constructed in such a way that it is oriented in east-west direction. I've said this earlier, to minimize direct sunlight into your pen. This is one of the things that actually heat up your pen. If there is direct sunlight coming into your pen, it makes your pen to be heated up as soon as possible. So construct your pen in such a way that the direct sunlight does not strike into your pen. Even if it does, it should be minimized, especially during the early hour of the day, not during the sunny hour of the day. No. For a proper ventilation also, you must ensure open-sided housing. It's not enough to just have a room to place your bed, just one window or two. No, they won't do well. So if you must use such a room to raise your birds, you must ensure you reconstruct that room to ensure that there is fresh breeze coming in to blow away the hot air. So this is also very, very important. It's a great thing to have a pen constructed for your poultry bed. Very, very good. But it is another great thing to ensure that the roof is high enough. Because if the roof is low, you will experience much heat stress. But if the roof is high to a great extent, the heat stress will be very, very minimal. This is very important to ensure proper ventilation as hot air rises. According to physics, proper design matters more than equipment. You need to understand this. If you may have the best equipment, best drinkers, best feeders, and all of that. If the design of your pen is very poor, which will not lead to a very poor ventilation, it won't matter whether you have a very good equipment or not. There are common mistakes farmers make that normally result to poor ventilation in their pen. You must avoid them. Number one of such mistake is blocking airflow with permanent walls. Very important. Now I know there are some people using maybe abandoned room or room that they are not using to raise their birds and all of that. No, it's good if you want to, but you may need to redesign that room so that fresh air can come in and then as hot air can exit the room freely. This is very, very important. Another mistake I observe some farmers make is overstocking. I know the temptation is there to overstock, especially if you made a really good profit from your last batch of birds that you raised, being it broilers or layers. Please avoid this temptation. What you will get is stunted growth and high mortality at the end. This will lead to a very great loss instead of profit that you intend to get. So avoid overstocking. Very, very important. It's good you have few birds, raise them to maturity with good weight and all of that, and then make the profit you want to make. That you raise more than enough birds, at the end you lose so much of the birds, at the end the weight, it will be nothing to write home about. So avoid overstocking. It's very, very important. Another mistake is ignoring wind direction. You must ensure your pen is positioned in such a way that there is cross ventilation. Very, very important. Cross ventilation in your poultry pen is very, very important. Remember, natural ventilation only works when management works. Putting all this in place, you don't change your litters, you don't do all of that, might not be the best option. So you must ensure you apply all those best management practices when it comes to your poultry management to ensure that this ventilation works. Now you may ask, is this natural ventilation better than mechanical approach? Now, mechanical ventilation works, yes, because in modern farms, especially in a very large farm, they may not rely fully on natural ventilation. So you see them using some industrial fans and all of that to expel the hot air and then blow in some cool air so that to keep the birds cool at all times. But now there is something you need to know about this mechanical approach. It is expensive and power dependent. But if you are living in a remote area that has no power, because most times, especially if you want to raise poultry in large quantity, you see them, they always go far away from residential area to site that poultry farm there. in which case you are not dependent on your own electricity and all of that. And if there is any means that, okay, the electricity gets to that point, you'll be paying heavily for this expeller, that is this fan and all of that. So it is expensive and power dependent. That is, you need the electricity to operate most of the equipment. This leads to a higher cost of production. But natural ventilation is more affordable, is easier to maintain and more reliable, especially in rural areas. Now, for many farmers, it is truly the best. If you want healthier birds, lower cost and better productivity, natural ventilation is not optional. It is essential. If you find this video helpful, like the video, share with other poultry farmers, and subscribe for more practical poultry tips. Thank you.